Thank you so much. Hi, y'all. Cheryl Floyd, native Texan, in case you can't tell from my accent. This is a really good segue. I really appreciated Danielle's session because she was also, I also have a journalism background, which I will get to in just a second. But I am a recovering high school journalism teacher. I spent 15 years in the classroom, so a lot of what I might talk about might reference that, as well as me soliciting involvement from the room. So just be aware that that is coming. I do have about 13 years in product marketing experience. So just from large corporations all the way to small startups where I am now, I would say most recently I was at LinkedIn. And a lot of what I learned there is a lot of best practices I'm going to share with you today. I'm all about practical use cases and applications and what you can take back to your company. So that's kind of what I hope to give you today. So what I love about this session in particular is the voice part of it. Like, know your audience. I know as a high school teacher, I had to know my audience pretty well and keep their attention. And people always say, how do you do that? Like if you're training sales reps or whatever. I'm like, well, if I can keep an audience of high schoolers entertained, I hope I can keep sales reps entertained. Same kind of attention level sometimes, but I can get there. But what I love about this is that you have to know why you're even talking to them. What is it that you need to impart on them, and what is the whole point of you even being there with them in the first place? So once you know that why, and we'll talk about how you get to there, then you understand what is the how and the what that you're trying to get out of it. So if I'm trying to teach a lesson, I know why and what that content is, but how do I get to that point, and what is it that I want them to get out of it at the end of the day? Same thing with your audience and your customers. What do you want them to know? How are you going to get them to know it? And what is the end result of what that customer conversation looks like? So I'm going to talk about 4 ways to do that today. This is our roadmap, but before we get started, I want to know a little bit about, maybe if you could shout out at me, 3 or 4 things that you want to know about your customers right now. And I will write them down, because we're going to talk about them at the end.
You could also use Slido.
You could also do that.
Your voice is sore from partying last night.
Yes. What is their pain point? Objections.
Past value delivered.
What was it?
Past value delivered.
Past value delivered.
Decision-making authority.
Then navigating the economic environment.
What's relevant for them?
Relevant.
Cost of the problem solving.
Cost. And then you've said, someone said something over here about budget. Decision making. All right.
In current investments and plans for future growth and investment.
Y'all sound like salespeople.
Level of satisfaction with existing product.
What was the one?
There's a delay. Hey, audio team. A level of satisfaction with existing product.
Okay.
Desired outcomes and initiatives.
Plenty of ideas. Great. This is exactly what I wanted to see. I was expecting 2 or 3. This is great. Okay, so here's the roadmap of what we're going to talk about today. So these are questions that I don't know about you, but I get asked, or that are in my brain as I'm thinking about things that I need to find out for a current product launch or something that's happening that I need to solve, or people are just asking me things about my customers. What do they want? And at the end of the day, you're helping to influence those product roadmaps because you know what the customers are needing. You know how something's going to land. It's not just product, it's also marketing. What are some marketing messages that are going out in the market or in the industry today that are going to resonate with your customers? And how do you know those are going to land? I think the other thing that might meet some of the questions that I get asked right now is what is happening in the industry right now. TravelNet Solutions is a software that runs property management companies that run software, short-term rentals, short-term vacation rentals. And so there's a lot happening in the industry today, in the vacation rental industry, travel industry in general. And there's a lot to that. So our jobs as product marketers at my company is to understand what that industry intel is and insights and bring those back to the rest of the teams. Again, that cross-functional work. But at the end of the day, our customer's going to buy into what you're saying, where you are in your positioning in the industry. Any other questions that I'm missing up here that you get asked? You're like, I get asked this all the time. No, I covered it all, but I know you have them in your brain. Competition. Who our competition is a good one. So what is your why? What do you really, really need to know from your customers? I am going to go back to my journalism basics, and I had the who, what, when, where, why, how in my brain all the time because it's just innate and natural for me. So I want to know who I need to talk to. Who do you need to talk to? Is there a specific segment? Do you want to talk to everyone with the pulse? Like, who do you need to talk to? And what do you need to know? Really, really define what it is that you need to get out of your customers. And if it's a list of questions, that's a good starting point, but also vet those with the people that you're doing this research for. Maybe ask your product team, have I covered everything that you want to know from this list of questions that I'm going to go out and get for you? And why do you need to get their feedback? Who is going to see that at the end of the day? Are you going to send that to the product team? Are you going to share it out with your board? Is that just something, just internal knowledge for your messaging team? Why do you need to get that feedback, and what are you going to do with it? And what is your timeline? Are you looking to get this done next week? Do you have a couple of quarters to get this done? That kind of determines the size of the project that you have to kick off in order to get that voice to the customer. And then how will you collect it? That kind of goes into the very end part of how you're going to get it done. Is it a survey monkey? Is it quick phone calls? Those kind of things are things that you want to figure out. And I'll show you how I kind of covered those questions in the examples I'm about to show you. I think, bottom line, there's really two things to think about as you're collecting customer feedback. One is qualitative and one is quantitative. Do you want to listen to questions or answers? Do you want to really get the words that your customers are saying? I find that super helpful. I think surveys are great, but if there's a place on those surveys that have quantitative or have qualitative verbatims that I can take back and say, these are the words they said to me, or these are the things I heard. Product teams tend to see, oh, there's a human behind one of those numbers. I understand what you're saying now. I think just bottom line, it's like, do you need just a few short insights from people to answer those questions, or do you really need a stat sig response from a lot of people? So it could be a combination of both, and I have an example of that too. Okay, so let's get to the nitty-gritty. The first one is what I call just fast feelings, quick reach out. I have on these slides when to use them and what that looks like in theory, and I'm going to give you a couple of examples for each one of these four that I'm going to give you. So the first one is quick feedback. So I've used this in two different ways. Most recently at TravelNet, I've been there all of 40 days, I think, and our CEO and Chief Product Officer were going to go out into the market with this 90-minute webinar to give our vision of 2023. We just got a huge round of funding last year, and we are, stop me if you've heard this before, going to be a single pane of glass, a all-in-one solution, and we wanted to make sure that new kind of vision would resonate with our customers when we rolled it out in this webinar. So before we went there, I said, can we just stop and see if that makes sense to some of our customers? And our CRO was like, oh, okay, yeah, let's do that. Let's just have our ducks in a row before we go out to market with this. And the interesting thing that we had just kind of realized was that we had also built 70 APIs. So we had all these partners out there that our customers were using already, and we didn't want to alienate them because we know they probably love some of their tech that they're already using. they might not. But we didn't want to alienate, A, our partners, and B, our customers who love their partners. So we were trying to test to see, does this all-in-one solution kind of matter or make sense to them? And we found out, yes, but I do want to make sure I have the choice to go to APIs, to use my APIs as I needed. And that was something that my coworker brought very clearly to our CEO before that webinar went on, and they did speak to it, and so did the product manager. They were like, oh, but don't forget, don't worry, we've got you. We're still talking about APIs. And so it wasn't just this is the way it's going to be, you're not going to use any more technology except for ours, it's going to be a combination. So that was a good way to think about just getting quick feedback. And it was 4 or 5 people that we talked to. They all kind of said the same thing. I'm like, oh, there's a theme here. Let's make sure we cover that in the webinar. All right, the other example I have of that was at LinkedIn. So the segment I worked on at LinkedIn was the small and medium business hiring manager. A lot of times these hiring managers don't have like big, robust, platforms to manage all their recruiting and whatnot. So they would post free jobs on LinkedIn, or they would use a really small solution that we offered there. So what I was trying to uncover there was I asked my data scientist to pull a list of people that had posted multiple jobs within 1 month for some time period. And the goal there was because your job posting you could only have 1 free job posting at a time. It was interesting to see that people would have 300 jobs open and closed in a single month, or 16 or whatever. So I asked them to pull everyone that had 3 or more jobs open and closed in 1 month. I just went down that list and looked at a variety of those. And I just wanted to see why they were opening and closing their jobs so many times. Because the product team wanted to limit absolutely how many jobs you could open and close, because obviously they're trying to monetize the jobs on LinkedIn. And so a couple of things I found in that research, I just found 11 people. I had a list of questions, and I was able to identify 2 things. One, absolutely gaming the system, self-admitted, and that was kind of our assumption. The other one that I found was that we had nonprofits that were having to source jobs for free. And so they were opening and closing jobs because when you open your job, it goes to the top of the list, right? So you see that job really quickly. So quick feedback, 10 or 11 folks is all I talked to, and that was able to get us the answers we needed around why we were opening and closing jobs so quickly. Okay, makes sense? Okay, I love head nods, okay. All right, the next one is trending insights. And so this could be a combination of quantitative and qualitative, but what this one looks like is an example of more survey data. One of the examples that I have for you is a small company that I worked for that had multiple product lines and only like 1 product marketer and a sales team that was divided among like 3 different product lines. And so we wanted to get more insights from customers, and the best way to do that was to provide this 35-question survey monkey after a opportunity, either closed won or closed lost. Now we offered a incentive, an Amazon gift card. If you closed lost, it was $75. If it was a closed won, it was $50. But it was still a good incentive because it was a 35-question survey. And it covered everything from awareness, like how aware were you, what brought you to our website, what kind of marketing collateral was useful, what was your sales conversation like, what was useful there, what other competitors are you thinking of, the gamut, how was your demo, did you feel like your sales rep understood your needs and your pain points. So all those things were collected, and so quarterly we did a readout with some of our stakeholders. And that data was quantitative because we could absolutely talk about the trends that we saw in the sales process or the marketing funnel.